Let's talk about filing LLC taxes for the first time. So if this is your first time to file LLC taxes, you really want to watch this show from the beginning to the end, because I'll be sharing a lot of nuggets that will be really relevant for you. Okay. So here's an overview I want you to pay attention to. So when we talk about filing business taxes for your LLC for the first time, you need to understand that when you think about an LLC, you have several scenarios that can really happen here. So if you are a single member LLC, by default, you are going to file your Form 1040 Schedule C. That's where you're going to report all the transactions that really occur within the LLC throughout last year rather. Okay. Now, if you are a multi-member LLC, then the scenario becomes a little more, I would say, interesting. So you can either file as a partnership, in which case you file Form 1065. You can either file as a C corporation, in which case you file Form 1120, and you can also file as an S corporation, in which case you actually have a 1120S. Now, the thing is that whether you go for like by default, an LLC that's multi-member LLC is going to file as a partnership. Now, if you want to change that, then you need to really elect to be either taxed as an S corporation or a C corporation. Now, so there are some kind of a certain route to follow here, but it's important to understand that when we talk about S corporation, C corporation, or LLC, in other words, partnership, you got to really understand, or even sole proprietorship for that matter, you got to understand that everything revolves around paper trail. You need to really keep good records. You need to also make sure that you are not only complying with federal taxes, but also state taxes, because the thing is that if you're filing LLC taxes for the first time, you got to really make sure that you also file taxes with your state if there is such a requirement in your state. Remember that your LLC was organized at a state level, right? Because there is no sort of federal legal construct for LLC. You organize an LLC by filing paperwork with the state authorities, so you're paying taxes at the state level as well. So when we talk about LLC taxes for the first time, just remember that you got to really comply not only at the federal level, but also at the state level. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. Now I want to go a little deeper in terms of filing taxes as a single member LLC. Okay, so let's first talk about how to file taxes for the first time as a single member LLC. So what will happen here is that for the first time, you are going to report the profit and loss from your business on the IRS Form 1040, and then report your business tax information on Schedule C. So everything again revolves around Schedule C. So if you're filing LLC taxes for the first time as a single member LLC, everything revolves around Schedule C. And basically, when you actually file using Schedule C, the IRS will treat you as an entity disregarded, in other words, which is separate from its owner. Okay, it's one of those things where you have to really understand what really works for you. Now, remember though, even if you are a single member LLC, you can actually file as a sole proprietorship, or you can say, you know what, I'm not filing at all as a single member LLC. I'm just going to file as a sole proprietorship. Okay, so you have that option. One thing I want to say here is that it's important to understand that the owners of the LLC, if you have more than one owner, they can elect to be treated as a C corporation, as I said earlier, or an S corporation. So if you are an LLC and you to be treated vis-a-vis the IRS as a C corporation, you need to file IRS Form 8832. That's basically the form that allows you to elect C corporation status. If you want to elect S corporation status, you gotta have to file Form 2553. So the forms are different. So how do you file taxes as a multi-member LLC? So a multi-member LLC is also treated as a pass-through entity by default. But as the earlier example, each member or owner will report the LLC's profit or loss in proportion to the profit distribution stated in the LLC operating agreement. So, and that basically will have to materialize in the Schedule K1. Okay, so it's really important to understand that a multi-member LLC is treated by default as a partnership, but the owners have the option, as I said, to elect C corporation or S corporation by filing the appropriate forms. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to file taxes how to file LLC taxes for the first time. Let me give you a decision moment here. So what's the decision? Imagine you want to file taxes as a corporation. In other words, you are an LLC, and for the very first time, you want to file taxes as a corporation. So if you file taxes as a corporation, you can elect, as I just said, C or S corporation. So a C corporation is the default corporation under IRS rules. However, an S corporation has special tax status with the IRS, so it is offering the preferred option for LLC owners. And so let's talk about how to file taxes in each case. For a C corporation, when filing taxes as a C corporation for the very first time, you must file separately for the corporation. So what happens here is that you are not reporting company earnings on your individual income tax return. First, as a corporation, you will need to pay estimated corporate tax throughout the year. Then you will file a corporate tax return on IRS Form 1120. And shareholders will report any dividends received from the corporation on their personal tax returns. That's what I said earlier, right? So that's for a C corporation for the very first time, or even subsequent times for that matter. So what about S corporation here? So when filing taxes as an S corporation for the very first time, you must file separately and will not report company earnings on your individual income tax return. Again, as an S corporation, you will need to pay estimated tax payments for certain S corporation taxes. To file an S corporation, you'll use IRS Form 1120S. So this form reports the S corporation's income, expenses, and losses. You also need to file IRS Form K1, Schedule K1, for each of your corporation's shareholders. And what happens here is that Form K1, in other words, Schedule K1, shows each shareholder's income, deductions, and credits related to their share of the corporation. And the S corporation must provide shareholders with copies of their K1 forms to report their corporate income or loss on their personal income tax return. So the thing that happens here is that basically for a C corporation, the deadline is April 15th. For an S corporation, the deadline is March 15th. And for an LLC, deadline is also April 15th. So it's pretty good to actually have a clear idea about those things. So a bonus here. So let's talk about self-employment taxes as an LLC owner. So whether you're filing taxes, LLC taxes for the first time or for subsequent times, you got to really always consider self-employment taxes, state income taxes, and also estimated taxes, estimate tax payments, okay? So when we talk about self-employment taxes as an LLC owner, you need to understand that everything revolves around your status as an LLC owner, because unlike regular employees whose employers withhold their taxes from their paychecks, LLC owners are responsible for paying self-employment taxes directly. In other words, this is something you have to really figure out. You have to remit, you have to deposit the funds with the IRS. And so when we talk about self-employment taxes, these taxes include employee and employer portions of Social Security and Medicare taxes equal to an additional 15.3% of income. So you'll need to plan for these additional tax payments and include it in your estimated taxes throughout the year. So that's for self-employment taxes as an LLC owner. You also have to account for state income taxes for your LLC. Whether it is for the first time or for subsequent times, the rules are the same. The rules are the same. In terms of state income taxes, the requirements vary by states. Some states may have specific forms or tax obligations for LLCs, while others may treat LLCs similar to those treated for federal tax purposes. And the cool thing is that 9 states don't have state income tax, including Alaska, Florida, Nevada, and Wyoming. And you also need to account for estimated tax payments for your LLC. So estimated tax payments are really basically periodic payments made throughout the year to cover the LLC's income tax liability. So these payments are necessary if your LLC is expected to owe $1,000 or more in taxes when you file your annual tax return. And to pay estimated taxes, you can use Form 1040-ES. So the IRS actually gives you the option to pay estimated taxes online as well. So this is kind of cool because then you can actually accelerate things. You don't have to you don't have to send a check to a specific address, whatever. No, you can do things electronically. Fantastic. Boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to file LLC taxes for the very first time. So let me give you some extras here. So what are the deadlines for filing business taxes as an LLC? Well, the deadline for filing taxes for a single member, multi-member, C corporation, and S corporation LLCs are all April 15th, but could be extended to April 18th, depending on the day that Emancipation Day falls in the District of Columbia. And corporations, LLCs, and individuals can all file an extension for taxes. And the extension is good for 6 months. So basically, you go from April 15th all the way through October 15th. So to receive the extension, you need to have filed an extension with Form 4868 by April 15th, let's say April 15th to 18th. And so when you file for an extension, something wonderful will happen. In other words, you're given 6 months, right, to really sort out your affairs, your financial affairs, your paperwork, whatever. But you must submit your estimated payments for the remaining amount due on the initial filing date, though. You still need to pay by the due date. Then when you file the return, you may have to make an additional payments for the difference or receive a refund if you pay too much. So it's one of those things where you have to really plan ahead so you have a clear idea what's going to happen to you. Now, there are some potential tax deductions available for your LLC for the first time, but also for subsequent times. So basically, you are speaking about write-offs such as rent for your office space, utilities, office supplies, equipment purchases. You have advertising and marketing, professional fees for legal and accounting services. You have insurance premiums, wages and benefits of your employees if you have them, and any taxes that you pay on the employee's behalf. So it's important that if you want to actually file taxes for your LLC for the very first time, that you really account for all those things. But it's always better, in our view, to actually reach out to an expert, to a professional, to kind of help you out, especially the very first time. Very first time, you want to be well accompanied, and this is one of those things where you still take with you somebody who has expertise in the kind of job that you have. I mean, there are a lot of them. If you need help, let us know, and our team will certainly hook you up with someone in your area. Now, let me give you a winner here. So when we talk about filing LLC taxes for the very first time, you need to understand that the forms that you use, the tax forms that you use, will depend upon your situation, right? So if you are a single member LLC, you're going for 1040, but also you are going for 1040 ES for estimated tax payments. If you are a multi-member LLC and you don't do anything, like by default, you are considered as a partnership, in which case you are going to need a Form 1065 and all the ancillary schedules, of course. And if you are a multi-member LLC who decides to file as an S corporation, you are going to need Form 1120S. And if you are going to be someone who needs or who wants to be seen as part of the C corporation world, the S corporation world rather, you are going to need Form 1120S. And so the form that you need depends on your situation. And you can actually file your business taxes online, or you can also mail them, not a problem. Okay. The IRS has many options for you to actually to file your taxes and pay your taxes. And you can actually get a refund for your LLC, but only in specific circumstances. So the LLC will only receive a tax refund if it elects to be taxed as an S corporation or C corporation. Otherwise, the LLC members will then be responsible for paying estimated taxes and receiving any tax refund if they paid more than due in estimated taxes. And if you actually missed a deadline for filing your business taxes as an LLC, you have you may be penalized really for there are two. The most important penalty here is the failure to pay, but you can also have the failure to file, right? So you have two penalties: failure to pay and failure to file. So the penalty amount for failure to pay is based on the amount you owe and increases the longer you delay payment. And pay immediately and speak to a CPA or business tax expert to understand further implications for your business. This is really fantastic. The bottom line here is that there are consequences of underreporting income and overclaiming deductions for your LLC, especially for the very first time you want to start off everything on a positive note, so you are pretty sure that you have the right type of information here. Okay, now don't forget also that we have you have to account for tax returns, and also the tax return dates to know exactly which one really is important for you. And you also have self-employment taxes, so in addition to quarterly taxes as an LLC. So being self-employed as an LLC owner means you will have to make estimated tax payments every quarter, every tax quarter. If you have an LLC filing as a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or a corporation, and you expect to owe more than $1,000 when you file your return, you will have to make estimated tax payments using Form 1040 ES. And if your LLC is filing as a C corporation, you will need to make estimated tax payments if you expect to owe $500 or more. So really, the thing here is that you have to really see exactly what kind of a situation you have, so you have a clear idea how to actually do things the proper way. So this is really important. And one thing I also want to say is that don't forget that you have state and local taxes. So it's one of those things where even though this video covered only federal taxes, you got to also think about state and local taxes, which really can occupy a decent portion of your budget. Okay. And don't forget that there are some annual reports, although not always referred to as the tax. Most states require LLCs to file either an annual reports or biannual reports with the states, accompanied by a fee. So the purpose of the report in most states is to keep the state updated on your LLC's basic information, such as a contact person, address, registered agent, etc. And the annual report's fee varies widely by state. Some states have no fee, others carry a fee. Okay, and it's one of those things where you have to really, be prepared, because if I were to give you an example, California, for instance, they charge like $800 to $1,000 every year if you have an LLC in the state. Okay, so bottom line here is that you want to invest in LLC tax filing planning, so you actually plan things way in advance and not just start being all stressed out at the end of the day to just try to really file your LLC taxes for the very first time. So it's one of those things, again, just to remember, it's all how you organize yourself. Thank you so much for your attention. Really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I just spoke to you about how to file LLC taxes for the very first time. So let's do a quick recap here. So I give you the overview, the decision, the bonus, the extras, the winner, and finally the recap. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.